I never dreamed my wife would dip into our shared savings to bail out her ex-boyfriend, but when I discovered it and withdrew my portion, her frantic phone calls revealed a side of her I wished I'd never seen. Let me share a little about who I am. My name is Ethan, and I run a small landscaping business in a peaceful neighborhood outside the city. I first crossed paths with Mia 7 years ago at a local farmer's market, where she was selling handmade jewelry at a booth. Her warm personality and creative spirit caught my attention right away, and we ended up talking for nearly an hour about everything from gardening tips to our favorite hiking trails. Our connection grew from there, with casual coffee meetups turning into deeper conversations. We got married 3 years later in a backyard gathering, surrounded by the people who mattered most to us. Life together felt balanced and genuine. We shared a modest home with a garden I tended and a craft room where she designed her pieces. Our mornings often started with fresh smoothies in the kitchen, her sketching ideas while I planned my workday. Evenings brought relaxed dinners, sometimes eaten on the porch as we watched the sunset, sharing laughs about quirky clients or dreaming up weekend getaways. We built habits that strengthened us, like setting aside time each week to discuss our goals or surprising each other with small gestures, such as her leaving notes in my truck or me bringing home her favorite flowers. Disagreements popped up now and then, usually over schedules or spending, but we'd address them openly, always finding common ground. I relied on her completely. She was the steady presence in my life, and our bond seemed unbreakable, rooted in mutual respect and shared plans for the future, including starting a family someday. Things began to change in subtle ways a few months before the incident. It was nothing drastic at first, just minor shifts that I attributed to her busy season with jewelry sales. Mia started getting more calls from an unfamiliar number, often stepping outside to take them with a hushed tone. When I'd ask about it later, she'd say it was a supplier or a friend in need, brushing it off with a quick smile. I recall one afternoon when I came home early from a job, finding her poring over our bank statements on her laptop, her brow furrowed. "Everything okay with the accounts?" I asked, leaning in. "Yeah, just checking balances," she replied, closing the screen a bit too hastily. In my mind, I wondered if she was worried about bills, but I didn't push, figuring she'd tell me if it was serious. Then there were the evenings when she'd cancel our plans, claiming fatigue from work, only to spend hours on her phone in the other room. Once I overheard her saying, "I can't right now, but I'll figure something out," in a voice laced with urgency. My thoughts turned to concern. Maybe she was dealing with family issues she hadn't shared yet. Another hint came when she mentioned her ex, Derek, out of the blue during dinner. "Heard he's going through a rough patch," she said casually, not elaborating. I nodded, uncomfortable but not alarmed, since she'd always spoken of him as ancient history. These moments added up, creating a faint sense of disconnect, but I convinced myself it was temporary, that our foundation was too strong for anything major to shake it. The truth emerged one quiet Saturday when I logged into our joint savings account to transfer funds for a new lawnmower. We'd set up that account years ago for big goals like a down payment on a bigger house or emergencies, each contributing equally. As the page loaded, I saw a massive withdrawal. Half our balance gone, transferred just days earlier. My pulse quickened. I checked the details. It went to a bail bonds company. Confusion hit first, then dread as I dug deeper, calling the bank for confirmation. Mia had authorized it. I confronted her that evening as she walked in from an errand, holding my phone with the transaction history. "What is this, Mia? Half our savings to a bail place." Her face drained of color, and she sank onto the couch. "Ethan, I can explain," she started, voice trembling. "It's for Derek. He got arrested for some stupid bar fight and he called me desperate. I couldn't let him sit in jail." The words landed like a gut punch. Her ex. Our money. "You used our joint fund for him. Without telling me," I demanded, anger surging. She nodded, tears falling. "He's been struggling and we were close once. I thought I could replace it before you noticed. Please, it was a one-time thing." But as we talked or argued, more came out. They'd been in touch for months, her supplier calls were him, leaning on her for support, emotional and now financial. It's not an affair, she insisted, but the secrecy screamed otherwise. Shock turned to heartbreak. This wasn't just money, it was a betrayal of our trust, our future. How could you choose him over us? I whispered, feeling the room close in. I didn't react rashly that night, but by morning resolve set in. While she slept, I went to the bank and withdrew my half of what remained, transferring it to my personal account. It wasn't theft. Our agreement allowed individual access, but it was my way of drawing a line, protecting what I'd built. When she woke and checked the app, her panic was immediate. Calls flooded my phone as I drove to work. "Ethan, what did you do? We need that money." Voicemails piled up, her voice desperate, begging me to put it back, promising to end contact with Derek. "I made a mistake, please don't do this to us." But the damage was done. I met her at home that evening, calm but firm. "You crossed a boundary, Mia. That fund was ours, not for your ex." She cried, admitting the pull of old feelings had clouded her judgment. We tried talking it through for days, but the trust was fractured beyond repair. In the end, we separated. I moved into a rental, focusing on my business and healing the wound. No loud revenge, just quiet steps toward independence. Therapy, new routines like solo hikes to clear my thoughts. Mia reached out sporadically, her desperation fading into regretful apologies I eventually forgave from afar, but never forgot. She and Derek didn't last, from what mutual friends shared, leaving her to face the consequences alone. Withdrawing my share wasn't about spite. It was reclaiming my peace after betrayal stole it away. Relationships thrive on honesty, but when that's broken, sometimes the kindest act is letting go, before the hurt defines you forever.